Good afternoon, Prep family, especially our young men. I miss you guys. I'm sorry to share that just a couple days ago, we learned of the dad of a senior passing away, as well as the grandmother of a junior. Over the last couple weeks, we have learned about the passing away of other folks in our Prep family, past Prep parents, or a former board member, or other relatives. We also know of Prep community members who are either ill at home or in hospitals. Just a couple days ago, we had the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Jerome Adams, say that this week will be the hardest and saddest for most American lives during this pandemic. I share that to simply say, that's where we are. That's our reality right now. Holy Week usually calls us to lean into the suffering of Christ. This is a different Holy Week for us because we don't have to imagine sadness and darkness and the unknown. We're feeling it. When I spoke with you a few weeks ago, the words on my mind were social distancing, quarantine, isolation. The word on my mind this Holy Week is epicenter. In the middle of this crisis, I keep thinking about the word epicenter, and I'll get to that in a minute. A moment of crisis brings ordinary things into sharp focus. Where we're sitting, what we're wearing, how other people speak to us in passing. The things that seem insignificant to us on an ordinary day suddenly become clearly woven into our consciousness and our memory. Faced with darkness and confusion, our eyes seek out the things that make sense, things that are familiar, things we miss. A moment of crisis brings ordinary things into sharp focus, like a handshake, being in a classroom full of Prep brothers wearing ties and turtlenecks, receiving communion, hustling to catch the light rail, lying about why we were late for catching the light rail, crowding around a lunch table in the commons with our best friends, cracking each other up, laughing loudly, the belly laugh, making teachers have that same belly laugh in class. So much so that it interrupts the lesson for a couple of minutes. Opening the door for someone and not worrying if the doorknob is clean. Attending a funeral or a wake that is not limited to 10 people. We miss baseball practice and Hogan and Mulry, maybe even jug review, and the phrase, please stand for morning prayer. Those are our routines. And we're just wishing everything could just be okay again. Right now, we try to focus on what's right in front of us, but we really just keep thinking about is what we wish we had right in front of us. And that's understandable. But we are marauders, and we are called to do more than that. Back in September, the first time I spoke with you at the Mass of the Holy Spirit, I asked you to think about our image of the marauder and his eye patch. I mentioned that one reason pirates might have worn eye patches was not just because some of them might be missing an eye. Pirates sailed on ships on the sea where the sun was bright above deck, but their supplies were all below, where it was dark. So when they needed to go below the deck, they would switch the eye patch so their eye adjusted to the darkness and they could find the light quicker. Got that? Adjust to the darkness and find the light quicker. And of course, the darkness we pictured in September was a little more ordinary. Yes, there was the unknown. Yes, there was anxiety. And yes, there was a little bit of fear. The fear of fitting in that a freshman or transfer student might have. The fear of failure a team captain might have. The fear of college rejections that a senior might have. The fear of not connecting with students that a new teacher might have. Or the fear of letting Prep down that a new president might have. None of us envisioned this, that a pandemic would lead us into Easter break following a very different kind of Lent, a different kind of Lent that we've experienced ever. I don't think we envisioned the darkness so dark as if we were feeling like we're in a tomb, isolated. And yet, as we find ourselves confined and surrounded by this darkness, maybe some way it makes sense. Here we are, waiting for Jesus to rise, waiting for the resurrection, waiting to refocus on the light and the life that lies beyond our current darkness. We're waiting to walk with our friends on the road to Emmaus, waiting to put aside fear and find and focus on the epicenter. The love that is the epicenter of the gospel, waiting to see the resurrection that is the epicenter of our faith. But right now, epicenter is a scary word. The challenge is new and frightening at times, but if we think about it, it's also familiar. Within the past 20 years, we found ourselves at the epicenter on 9/11, and again during Superstorm Sandy. Now, as then, we will find that light again. We're going to rely on our faith and pray, but we also know we have to rely on each other and work. And while the days feel dark at times, we know that love and its incredible light is the true epicenter. I told you earlier that we're going to write this chapter of prep history together, and we're still in the middle of writing it, and it's difficult. This is hard writing, right? We have ourselves, and by that I mean us, but also our families, our extended prep family, and our whole human family. We are the protagonists. The antagonist is invisible and fearsome. Its motives unknowable, its actions heinous. The action rises and falls between the global struggle to meet this challenge and the quiet moments at home with our families and alone with our thoughts. The resolution is not yet clear, but there will be a resolution. There will be a next chapter. And I know that prep will someday look back at this chapter in our history, and we will be proud of the way we wrote it, came through it together, turned the page, and with our metaphoric pen in hand, we said, what's next? Thank you so much for all the work you have done in this chapter so far. The way you have modeled being open to growth, new ways of learning, new ways of connecting with teachers, new ways of caring for your family, new ways of being a friend, new ways of getting the work done. But thank you, almost more importantly, thank you for staying true to the important beliefs, the beliefs that have never mattered more. Love each other, do your best, be your best self, keep holding on to this idea of together. Please know that you and your family are in my prayers and that I love you. I love you as one of my students and as my prep brother. I wish you the most blessed Easter. We got this. Let's go prep.